Greetings, Hempster. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of HempAware Radio. This is your hemptrepreneurial host, here once again to empower your hemposphere as usual. And today we're bringing you a dynamic duo who are making waves in the hemp industry in more than one way. Abner Brown and Nick Gordon are the co-owners of Akhenaten Extracts and Capstone Hemp. Pretty auspicious names, if you ask me. I'm excited to dive into the history behind the names of their two brands, but also kind of share with you what they're doing to grow these two companies. And Abner oversees their brick and mortar operations, kind of managing the inventory and supplier relations, the stock that they've got going out the door, and the in-house production of products, all while keeping things running smoothly on the scheduling front, just meeting with customers and making sure the operations are dialed in. And Nick wears multiple hats as well. He's the in-house graphic designer, social media manager, website expert, among other things. And on top of that, he's been instrumental in launching and growing the Capstone Hemp brand as a standout hemp shoe company, as well as some cannabis-based clothing, which I'm excited to chat with you guys about and share their story. And today we'll be exploring their journey, some of the challenges, some of the successes of building their businesses, and the passion they bring to creating high quality hemp products and experiences for their customers. So whether you're a fellow hempster, if you're a hemp entrepreneur, if you own a hemp company, are thinking about starting a hemp company, or you're just curious about the booming hemp space, this is a hemp episode that you don't want to miss. And before we dive in, just a quick reminder to all of our listeners that we have a brand new hemp marketing and branding scorecard. It's a really brief kind of question and answer that you can go through to gauge maybe some of the missing opportunities that you have in your company on how you can find the right target market and just sell more hemp products. So go to hempaware.com and check out our free hemp scorecard today so that we can help you amplify your message and attract those ideal customers and level up your brand. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, just go to hempaware.com. And so I'm excited to have Abner and Nick on the show. What's hempening, guys? Thanks for joining me.
Oh, not much, man. Just excited to share what we're doing with the world, as always. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind, maybe give us a little bit of background. Tell me where you guys come from. What was your education? Like, what did you study? And what was your profession before getting into the hemp world?
Well, we both worked for Lowe's in different capacities before we got into the hemp industry, but we got tired of just having to work in corporate America and deal with a lot of the stuff that came with it. So we always knew we wanted to do something else. And especially if the laws change, we wanted to jump into, the hemp or cannabis industry. And, at one point we just decided we're leaving what we're doing and we're going to try and jump into this and make it work. And it's taken from there, 5 years ago or so?
Yeah, we started at the end of 2018 and, when the hemp farm bill passed, and in 2019, we opened our store. So we've been in business ever since then. And as far as our cannabis background, we always were involved with the, black market side of things, trying to encourage people to, get it out of that realm. Because we live in an area that has, well, like most areas these days, you see a lot of drug problems. And thing we noticed at a young age was that our friends who were just smoking cannabis and staying away from other stuff didn't develop the problems the other drug users had. So then we started to feel like they didn't really belong to be lumped into that category. And that's what pushed us to want to encourage legalization and get involved with it as soon as the law allowed us to go that route.
Right. Interesting. So you both were working at Lowe's together in similar positions or different positions?
Yeah, we were in different positions. Him and I've been friends since we were 9 years old. Yeah. So we've always been working together, but he was in the corporate side of Lowe's. Dealing with angry customers was his main job. I was at a distribution center, and I'm a pretty small guy. I'm 120 pounds soaking wet, so getting up at 5 a.m. and tossing heavy boxes all day was not really my cup of tea. So we both decided we did not like that particular corporate environment. And we put together the money we had saved up, and we bought a rosin press and a pound of CBD flower, and we started squishing rosin out of that, making tinctures, and that's how we started our company.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting. So it started out at a job that you didn't enjoy, and you saved up some money, saw this vision for a way to help educate people about cannabis and sort of build that bridge for people that are lumping cannabis in the drug or kind of harmful substance, and help create a better visual or a better understanding around these products. So 2018, the Farm Bill passed, and you guys launched AK or Akhenaten extract, right?
Yes, that's correct. That was our first entity, was Akhenaten extracts, and our original business model was just to produce tinctures. We were planning to sell to other stores, which we quickly learned was very difficult because we're a small company in a big market everybody wanted to break into. That's what led to us having our own brick and mortar location, was really believing we had a good product and having trouble getting it out to the public. And once we had our own store and people came to us and started buying our stuff, they never went back to another brand after that. Like, we've been told over and over again, our stuff just works better. And I imagine that's because people are getting CBD isolates or chemically extracted distillate made products, and then they come to us and they get a rosin press tincture, and it's got a more complete cannabinoid profile plus the terpene profile that comes through with it. And, that's another thing we're real big advocates on, is full spectrum whenever possible, rosin pressed whenever possible, trying to avoid chemical processing with everything we can.
Yeah, most certainly getting that full entourage effect. So you're keeping it in the raw form, right? You're not heating it or extracting it. You're just literally kind of pressing those crystals and cannabinoids and terpenoids and all that juicy stuff into a product that you then put into tinctures.
Yeah, and that's all that's in our stuff is our rosin and some coconut oil. So
excellent.
That's what our full spectrum CBD tincture's made of.
How fun.
It's resulted in a whole lot of customer loyalty for us, which has been nice because we only want to carry things that we'll actually use. So we think that has a big correlation with keeping customers and from when they've been unhappy with other products and other places.
Yeah, most certainly. And I do want to talk to you guys kind of about your strategy, because having a solid product is foundational. If you have a good product and people get results, it's going to be so much easier to get repeat business like you have been. But to kind of take a step back before we get into the business and marketing side of things, is there a childhood memory that you guys maybe can think of, either together or separately, because you've been together since you were 9, that kind of was like a planting of a seed that you were going to end up in this industry and doing what you guys are doing?
Well, we've talked before, and we both, we're from the generation that had DARE. So when we were 8 years old, we had a police officer come to our classroom and taught us about drugs. It was the most, I'm trying not to, I tend to cuss. I'm going to try to say this without using a bunch of foul language. It was a really dumb program. I don't know why they thought showing kids drugs and teaching them about drugs was the best way to keep them away from them. So we were exposed to what cannabis was at an early age. And we talked about it years later. Like, we didn't see a lot of interest in drugs in general, but in DARE, we both kind of heard them talking about cannabis and we're like, I think I'd like to try that one day. But yeah, our whole childhood kind of gave us an indication that we would take a less beaten path, so to speak. Our friend group were the kids who met up after school because their parents were still at work and we didn't have anybody to pick us up and take us home. So we ran around the streets for a couple hours a day, and our parents picked us up at the public library at around 5:30 at every afternoon. So I guess I would just say our entire childhood was kind of an indicator that we would go down a less beaten path, not necessarily the cannabis path, but we were always sort of the off doing different stuff kind of kids. We were playing under bridges. You know, we kicked around empty bottles to play soccer with on, you know, in town because there was nothing else to do. Just running around, getting into stuff, having a sort of unique experience all around, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then I'd say another one of the things that kind of sealed it was just how many people in this area have had those drug issues, you know, me included, and cannabis being an exit drug from so many of these things, especially opiate addictions. So they're, you know, just between, like you said, how our childhood went and a lot of the things we saw around us growing up as well and experienced it, you start kind of seeing where life may end up taking you at a certain point.
And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we came from the black market like a lot of people did in this industry. And when we were in that realm of things, we tend to always have the best option. You know, this is a garbage area. There's a lot of brown buds with seeds falling out of them, you know, that kind of product around here. And then we had some friends went to some more prominent cannabis areas like Asheville, North Carolina. There's a pretty dedicated cannabis community up there. It's a very open-minded town. And we started bringing back the sort of stuff you could find in those places, and people were very grateful. So as far as this area goes, we've, you know, for the past 20 years, we've had a foothold here. So when we had the option to open a legal business, it just made sense.
Definitely makes sense. And Abner, you mentioned that you kind of used cannabis as almost a reverse gateway drug, right?
Indeed, I did. It was what helped me get through the withdrawals from opiates and end up keeping away from the opiates as well. And I've seen other people be able to take that path too, but you know, seeing people that weren't able to is one of those big driving motivators, because we knew so many people.
We had a unique situation in our town, the Lowe. So we're in a fairly small town, and the main pharmacy that services our area had hired a few high schoolers, and those kids, someone taught them what opiates were and to steal them, and they were stealing them like crazy. So we had a lot of kids at our high school got addicted to Oxycontin before the world even understood what Oxycontin was. Like, these kids had no idea they were taking a pharmaceutical opiate. It was just something to party with. They didn't even think about it. And so, you know, we saw a lot of problems with that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of kids messed their lives up at an early age because of that.
Yeah, most definitely. Thankfully, I stayed away from all that crazy stuff and stuck with cannabis. So to kind of get into the business side of things and share some insights that you guys may be able to share with our listeners that have a hemp company or want to start a hemp company, what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges starting these businesses, running them, and how have you been able to overcome some of those challenges?
Payment processing is always a big one. Persistence is really the biggest way we found. You know, if somebody shuts us down, we go and try and find someone else who's going to provide that same service for us. But you know, I'd say the payment processing is the big one.
We've been through a lot of hassle with payment processing. Another one's advertising and online reach. So I was selling swords back before I went to Lowe's. So I was promoting it. They were for sporting purposes, like Olympic style fencing and Renaissance festivals. But Facebook restricted my account because they labeled me as a weapons and arms dealer. Now they're labeling me as a drug dealer. So I can't, like, my account doesn't even have the option to run paid advertising on Facebook anymore. We have to hire people to be on as admin or use a separate account to run the ads. We started the clothing company. The main reason was to get away from the cannabinoid products. So we had something we could promote to the entire country rather than, we're mainly stuck at our brick and mortar location with our cannabinoid products. We have a website, but it's mostly local business coming through it too.
Where is the store, by the way? What's your storefront location?
So our store is called Yadkin Valley Hemp, and it's in Jonesville, North Carolina. We were in Elkin, which is one town over, up until earlier this year, and our building got sold. So we have a new location in Jonesville. It's a really nice location. We have our own parking lot and space to do our own private events and stuff now. So we're going to have entertainment out there when the weather gets better. I'm going to be doing live plant sale, and we do a thing every 6 months or so called a free exchange. And it's in the spirit of the free store that Abby Hoffman had back in the 1960s. So we take what we have to get rid of. We encourage other people to bring things they have to get rid of, and we just let folks come and take things. So
Nice.
it could be a TV, it could be a pile of clothes, some books. I mean, we've given away some really nice stuff down there at the free exchange. So, we wanted to make sure we had space to keep doing that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Nice.
that's the other side of our business, is we try to do whatever we can just to support the community. It's all about keeping it as local as possible for us. But yeah, in terms of challenges, advertising, payment processing, and just keeping your location. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who are in towns that are not very friendly, so they just have trouble in their specific area. If you're in a not friendly town, look outside that area. When we were in Elkin, it was fairly friendly, but they're looking at trying to bring money into the town. So they were friendly when it was convenient for them. They got a little less friendly when they wanted the space for somebody else.
Mhm.
So, things, you got to keep your eye on things and try and anticipate the foresight to prepare for what's going to be happening in 6 months. And that can always be tough because there's not a lot of people going out of their way to make things easy for folks in our industry. As far as products go, do business with people you trust. Don't just get whatever product you find with the best profit margins. Make sure you like the product. Make sure it's something you would use. If you focus on quality and making your customers happy and keep your own education on par, we get a lot of compliments that people actually get answers when they come to our store. They go to some tobacco shop that just happens to have hemp products. They don't really have any answers for them. So people like it when you can answer their questions. Focus on carrying products that are effective, not your profit margins, because your profit margins are going to be a lot better with repeat business. And CBD and hemp expos, you'll meet a lot of good people at those expos. I'll be the first to admit, when you're a smaller company, you ain't going to get a lot of business from it. You're going to have a tiny booth in a corner. You're not going to get a lot of attention, but that gets you in the door. Your name's out there a little bit, and you have the ability to walk around and meet all these other companies. And that's how we landed on our payment processor. We found them at a CBD expo. So now we have a solid connection there, and we don't have to deal with people like Square and stuff like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, that's good. So persistence, you had mentioned, Abner, just don't give up. If you get hit, knocked down, just get back up, keep trying. You had mentioned the physical storefront is kind of your go-to as far as generating sales, having solid products that people trust, and providing additional education so that people feel like they're getting more value than just going to a tobacco shop and buying some product. They're going to have a relationship with you that's deeper and more meaningful. Can you tell us a little bit about the other marketing channels, or if you guys do any other marketing channels? Because you mentioned ads, that's really difficult on Facebook, word of mouth. How else are you getting found, whether it's traffic to the website or traffic to the storefront? What are some of those other channels that you guys go for?
So we just have launched this clothing line. It's very fresh. So our website has only been up a month or so, and we're still building our network there. So I don't have a lot of advice or feedback on that, unfortunately. But what's worked for our other products in our store, going to events. Any event that you are welcomed to, take advantage of that. It doesn't matter what the nature of the event is, really. Somebody there is interested in hemp. So we go to all the local stuff we can. There's a wine festival we attend, a big event around here called the Pumpkin Festival in the fall. We have a few hippie festivals like that. They try to recreate the vibe of the 60s, not really about cannabis, but more just about the hippie culture. But yeah, there's pretty much anything you can do to get yourself in front of the public, you have to do it. We spent an entire summer at a flea market that was mainly dominated by Hispanic people who couldn't even understand what we were trying to tell them. But we made a few sales every weekend, and it helped bring people back to our store. So when you're just getting started, you can't expect miracles, and you really got to just be happy with every single sale you get. Put yourself out there and don't be afraid. Like, we put a big pot leaf on everything, and that people get kind of sketched out at first, but when they come and talk to us and they see we're educated and we explain who we are and what we do, they're very comfortable and excited to learn from us.
Yeah. And as far as anything else goes, billboards have been our best bet, getting that word out there. It's like you said, we have all these odd ways we have to go through marketing because a lot of people don't let you advertise what you're doing. But the billboard companies have gotten us a whole lot of exposure as we've, done them in different places around Elkin and Jonesville to draw attention to us.
Very cool. Yeah, that's unorthodox. So you don't see a lot of cannabis brands or hemp companies doing billboards on the side of the road. And if you have a physical shop, that's, I think, a really wise thing to do, because if they're in the area, they're going to be like, hey, what's that? Let's go check it out. And they may not even know to think, is there a hemp shop around here we can go visit? I know for me personally, having been in the hemp world for 20 years plus now, every new town that I go to, I'm always looking up what's the hemp shop in town. Like where are the hemp products in this town? So if you're trying to get in front of people that aren't aware of hemp or that it's even a possibility, that's a really good way to do it. And on the topic of symbols and using the hemp leaf in your messaging, your marketing, your branding, you guys have a very esoteric approach to things, at least in your naming. And I see you've got the pyramid with the eye of the all-seeing eye there, and Akhenaten and Capstone are very Freemasonic terms, and Egyptian, mythology. Can we dive a little deeper into the nomenclature? What inspired you guys to create these names?
That could go deep.
Let's say how deep we want to go, Abner.
We've always been into just different schools of thought and learning as much as we can about different things. When we came to it,
I'm gonna tell them some more of the interesting stuff. Let's tell people some of the fun stuff, Abner. All right. So we both, like I said, we both were into just conspiracy theories and stuff for a while. And part of, I think, being into conspiracy theories is mind-altering substances, particularly LSD, mushrooms, that sort of ties into the whole culture of revealing the truth in a world full of deception. So we had an LSD phase. We may have seen some UFOs, some aliens, things like that. And so we've had our own awakenings and experiences that sort of led us to understand there was some truth behind all that esoteric stuff. I'm not a big fan of where the culture has sort of led to with all the talk of ego deaths and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of the fascinating thing to me about ego death is the people who say they've experienced it are always really excited to tell you about it as though it's inflated their ego. So, we're not so much into the psychedelic aspect of things these days. We're both in our early 40s at this point. It takes its toll on us. So we try to do substances like that. But I do still believe that there is a truth out there that people can tap into, whether it's with or without substances. I personally have adapted to mostly Buddhist sort of belief, the inner peace and just silencing the mind, all that kind of stuff for spirituality, and focused on compassion and healing more than anything. And Abner, I think, has a similar personal philosophy, whether he labels it as Buddhist or not, but he's very much into, treating people good, taking care of himself, and just trying to make life a good life. And to me, that's what all this esoteric symbolism represents, is my journey from looking for some sort of deep spiritual truth to understanding that truth basically boils down to be a good person, try to make make a good world, make other people happy. Don't focus on yourself. It all boils down to, I think, the golden rule. Ultimately, you have to take a long, confusing path to get to that understanding. But ultimately, it's like, oh yeah, this is just make the world good. Use your intentions to intend good things, and you got a good spiritual belief, whatever you label it as.
I definitely resonate with that. And I have some commentary, but before I do, Abner, did you want to add to it in any way or have any comments?
I mean, he pretty much hit the nail on the head with it. I try and be the most decent person I can and be understanding of folks, because I've needed that a whole lot at certain points in my life. So, you want to try and return the favor for everyone and just leave things a little better than you found them, hopefully, or at least don't screw it up for everybody else.
And going back to what you mentioned earlier, just tips on success and how to get by in the hemp world, you need a good partner. Nobody can do this alone. Someone's got to have your back. I am extremely lucky to have someone I've known for 30 years who has got my back on this journey. We don't all have that luxury. I feel incredibly grateful, but you got to have someone that's got your back, because you will get frustrated if you take this journey alone, don't have anyone to be there to support you when stuff gets rough. It will get rough.
Yeah, there's just so many. The industry's so new. You run into a lot of people still trying to take advantage of you or making false claims about, one thing or another. So just between stuff like that and how many aspects you have to manage in a business like what we're doing, you got to have help, and you got to have help you trust to take care of those things and keep pushing in that same direction. He's exactly right on that one. Because if you don't, I don't know how that works, and you're lucky when you find it, because it makes a world of difference. You've got to trust people going through all this kind of business stuff with them.
Yeah, that's sound advice. I agree. My life partner and business partner, she's my beloved hempress, I call her. Couldn't do it without her. So I agree. If you can find somebody that you trust and can be there for you in the tough times, it definitely helps you get through and stick to what you committed to in the beginning. And I have a very similar resonance and vision and goal in why I do what I do with hemp. And it all started at a very young age, wanting to create peace on earth. Like, that was the original impetus for me getting into this world. And when I discovered that hemp could be a source for food, shelter, and clothing, and that it could supply the 3 basic fundamental needs of human existence, I was like, this is it. Initially, I thought it was going to be through music. And Nick, you said you're a musician before we started the show. I thought music is harmony, so why not create peace with harmony in music? But then I quickly realized, if you're going to make a difference, you also have to learn how to make a dollar. And as any musician knows, making money playing music ain't the easiest thing in the world. And so that was really the beginning of and consciousness too. I had that sort of spiritual awakening at a very young age. And that's why I coined the term HempAware, because I feel like everything begins with consciousness. And so if I can inspire and uplift and influence people's consciousness with hemp as my vehicle, I feel like ultimately we can create a paradigm shift on the planet and all live much healthier, happier, more abundant lives. And so it brings me great joy to be able to share your message and bring Capstone and AK Extract to the people. Where can they find you? Online, offline? Where are you guys hanging out? I know you shared your physical shop, but if people want to buy the products, check out your hats and your shoes and your clothing and the extracts, where can they find you?
So we have our cannabinoid product line at akextract.com. That's where you can get CBD products, THCA, flower, everything over there is legal under the USD or federal farm bill. And we have USD farming permit. So we produce as much as we can ourselves there. The clothing is at capstonehemp.com. And we also have some handmade jewelry over there. We're probably going to have some pottery up there soon, made by a friend of ours who teaches pottery at local college. So there's a lot of handmade goods there, and we are about to secure a licensing deal with the manufacturer who makes this clothing for us. So if anybody out there is interested in having your own brand of hemp clothing, we'll be able to put whatever logos you want on there, get any sort of items made. If you can make it out of fabric, then this guy can make it out of hemp. So we're going to work with him to help spread his brand and mostly keep ours as a retail line, or it'll be a higher priced wholesale line if somebody wants to get our branded stuff. But we are looking at helping people all over the U.S. get a hold of factory direct hemp clothing and not be limited. Mostly what we have now is, some companies making a hemp shoe, or they have a hemp shirt. They have like one product they're pushing. We'll get you whatever you want. And you can work with the manufacturer to get your patterns made. He'll do things to your specifications. He's on a similar mission to us, to show people that this plant ain't just about, what the war on drugs painted it up as. You can use this to feed, put clothes on people's back, give people homes. So this is our first step. We want to get into hemp concrete, hemp bioplastics, all that stuff, and show people what this plant really is about, which is a lot more than just the cannabinoid side of things.
Absolutely. And even the cannabinoid side of things is massive, with helping people get off the opioids and off of the harmful pharmaceuticals. And a sort of fun fact, I don't know if you guys knew this, but if you haven't noticed, I'm somewhat of a wordsmith myself, and the word cannabinoid is a conjugation of canna or cannabin, obviously from the word cannabis, and then oid, O-I-D, has a Greek origin, which comes from the word eidos, which is spelled O-E-I-D-O-S or something like that, and it means wisdom. And so cannabinoids I like to think of as wisdom molecules. And as you guys well know, when you take cannabinoids, it affects almost every bodily system in the body, whether it's the immune system or the nervous system or the musculoskeletal system, like whatever you're taking it, those compounds go in there and they have that wisdom to affect whatever body process is necessary to create that homeostasis. So just a little fun fact.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the education we try to tell our customers, is that, your body has a endocannabinoid system, and this isn't like the pills you take. This is actually working with a natural system in your body, and so the mechanics are different. And mainly we point that out to folks who are like, well, I've got this issue. What's going to make it better? It's like, we can't tell you that because we don't know what's wrong with your endocannabinoid system. Like, the best we can tell you is this is what people have been reporting is good. We suggest you start there.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not making any claims here. Let the body do what it does, and let our creator the blueprint do its thing with the help of the cannabinoids.
Just have faith in the plant.
So, as a couple parting questions, and thank you so much for your time and doing what you guys are doing. It's very inspiring. Now, is there any other advice that you would give somebody who has a hemp company or who wants to start a hemp company and they're just entering into this? What should they know or be prepared to know?
You want to take that? You want to start?
Okay. Well, my advice would be, think about the future, because the laws are still always being debated. We're still in a power struggle over the cannabinoids. Pharmaceutical industry wants control of them. The tobacco industry wants control of them. So we're still all in the midst of a power struggle, and we're lucky to be able to do what we're doing. In 5 years, that power struggle may play out in a way that is not to our advantage. That's another reason we branched out into hemp clothing. I don't want to assume what we do now, I'm going to be able to do forever. Mm-hmm. And until I see that level of stability come to the political landscape and the legal landscape, I'm going to always assume my business is in jeopardy. So it's not a fun mindset to be in, but I think if you're going to jump in this business, you have to be prepared for some paranoia, and you need to take that mindset. You need to take advantage of what you're able to sell now, but also branch out into other stuff that'll make your company secure should the laws change in an unfavorable way. So that's the approach we've been taking. You know, we obviously we take advantage of the THCA loophole. That's been a big one for us. We also made sure to carry only natural THCA. And again, you know, we vet things and keep the quality high on our products. So be trustworthy, be educated, and think about the future. Do not assume because your business is doing good today that it'll be doing good tomorrow, because one change in legislation could change what you're able to sell, and that changes your customer base. So especially if you're relying on THCA products right now, if they take that away from us, you're probably going to lose most of your customers. Mm-hmm. So we're focusing on the other possibilities with hemp because they seem more stable in terms of business. They're going to have a much harder time stealing clothing and hempcrete and plastic away from the general marketplace. Whereas with cannabinoids, they kind of have a leg to stand on because it is a medicinally therapeutic substance, and these people have billions of dollars behind them. So that would be my other bit of advice is if you have any way to contribute money towards keeping the laws in our favor, you know, hire a good lawyer, ask him what you can do to help make sure things don't go bad. You know, we've secured legal representation, and I told him if they ever change the laws, I'm going to be the guy on the front page of the newspaper getting drug out of his hemp store in handcuffs. I said, if I got to be that guy, I'm going to be that guy. So we're preparing for the worst while having extreme gratitude that it's not come to that yet. But we're also not pretending like it's impossible. So if you're going to succeed in this industry right now, you got to sell cannabinoids. There's no way around it. But there's an emerging market that's yet to really take hold because everyone's been so distracted by cannabinoids. And I firmly believe in the next 5 years, we're going to see a boom in clothing, shelter, bioplastics, food-related items, because there's too many cannabis farmers right now. It's the farmers are starting to struggle to make money. People are nickel and diming the product. There's all sorts of bad stuff floating around. You wouldn't even really want to smoke, but somebody sold it cheap enough that it's out there anyway. So we don't need more cannabis farmers. We don't really need more dealers. There's the stuff's everywhere. So if longevity is going to be a part of your business model, you're going to have to diversify.
Very well said. That's sound advice. I appreciate that, and haven't had anybody say that in that way on this show. So just being ready to pivot when you need to and look into the future, recognizing that things could change on a dime, a law could change, and your entire product line could be wiped out, and therefore your customer base. So having that preparation mindset, I think, is very wise. So thank you for that.
And, you know, we believe in community. Don't compete with the other hemp businesses. You know, talk to them, make friends, see what you can do to help each other. And like I said, if anybody sees this podcast, wants to learn more about hemp clothing or get some connections to get some hemp clothing, we can help you with that. We'll be happy to talk to you. We'll get to know you, work with you, see what we can do to help each other.
Awesome. So capstonehemp.com, akextract.com. Is there anything, or Abner, did you have any commentary that you wanted to share on that last question?
Yeah, there's something I've seen that's been fairly important in the industry is you have to be true to yourself with it. The people that come in that are just looking for a dollar, or you can tell they're obviously fake, that doesn't seem to last in this industry. And I don't know how they seem to get weeded out quickly as they do, you know, so often. But also understand whether you're in customer facing or you're business facing with wholesale. Because as we've seen, that when you start with one certain path, it usually pays to stick with that and try and keep growing in that direction instead of taking a wild swing because something hasn't worked and you're going to say, okay, well, now instead of trying to make small amounts of stuff for customers, I'm going to attempt to up my production and compete with these massive companies. You kind of have to understand what you're capable of and and grow at a particular pace that doesn't kill your company. Really, you just got to know whether you really are making products for the end consumer or the shops down the road, and stick with it.
Yeah, so really understanding your customer profile, who you serve, and stick to it. Do as good of a job as you possibly can, and understanding the psychology of that buyer market.
Yeah, and like with our farm, we have a very small farming operation because we sell direct to retail through our store in Jonesville. We don't consider wholesale because there's so much out there. We couldn't really compete with the pricing, and we can move it ourselves, so there's no reason to. So we grow enough that we have flour to sell from one harvest to the next. And then when, we don't have to worry about storing large quantities, we don't have to worry about it going bad and losing money on stuff we paid to produce. So, be realistic about what you're able to move and don't get in over your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as a last question, is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
We have a network we're working on creating that's just basically entertainment. We're using the company as a way to sponsor it. So Abner is going to be going out recording his rock climbing and hiking. And he does like 50-mile races. He's going to record all that and train, show people when he goes through training for all that, try and release some inspiring online content to encourage people to get out there and be physically motivated, because a few years ago, he had a neck surgery and was able to fix his chronic pain issues. And he, got really motivated from that point forward and has really become a machine of physical fitness. For a man who's already in his 40s, he's doing some pretty impressive stuff. So we're working on getting that rolling. We've got the cameras and everything. We'll be filming footage soon. I have a Twitch channel, and you share content to TikTok and YouTube and everything. On Twitch, on there is TubalCane420, and there's links to all my other stuff on there, so you can hang out with me there, play some video games, watch me smoking, and just being me. So we're trying to put stuff out there for people to just see who we are as people, and that we're just regular folks that are trying to do something unique. We're trying to make this clothing company a big national brand, but at the same time, we don't want to come across as a huge corporate entity. I want to sell a lot of product, but that product will always be used to support people in my town, to bring jobs to our area, to benefit the hemp industry. And we also do a lot of charity work to support our area. So mostly with the school. We help feed the kids that are on free lunch. We help buy supplies so the art program can, so the kids aren't just in art class staring at the wall. They actually have art supplies. So that's our main goal with this company. We're trying to support our area of the world and then branch out from there. So no matter how big, no matter how big our company gets, it's not going to be used to make us billionaires. It's going to be used to make our town a nice place to live. So hopefully people appreciate our vision. Hopefully our intentions resonate with the universe at large, and all that, trying to think of the right way to say this. Hopefully the fact that we're intending to do good things will come across to people, and they will support us so we can support others.
Most definitely.
That's been the path to success with stuff so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Givers gain. There's like a rule out there, just like you mentioned the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the more that we give, the more we receive. And it's really in that giving that the deeper fulfillment in life. The getting of the things is so ephemeral. It just slips through the hands, and it's really the relationships and the people and the impact that we leave in people's lives that's so meaningful. And I can tell you guys are really doing that, and it's inspiring. And I commend you for taking the leap and taking the risk to be hemptrepreneurs and going out there making it hempin'.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a platform to spread our message. I have some other questions for you that we'll discuss through email after this. So we may have some further business to discuss. I think what your company does probably benefit us. Like I said, our clothing company has just gotten off the ground. So I was looking at your online network of stuff, and I saw that you're involved with search engine optimization and helping companies grow in the cannabis industry. So we'll see what we'll continue talking with each other and see if we may be able to help each other get some further business going.
That sounds great. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of HempAware Radio. This is your hemptrepreneurial host. If you want to hear anybody out there that has a hemp company or you have ideas on what you want to listen to, just email us support@hempaware.com and we'll make it happen. Thanks everyone.